Folks, welcome to the Pretend Friends podcast. Joining us today, an incredibly special guest, the one, the only, father of our boy Jacob. It's Mr. Jacob's dad.
Hello, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
And also Mrs. Jacob's mom. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for all the work you put into generating Jacob here.
I'm so excited. I don't think I've ever had a father in my living room before.
Hey, what about me, buddy?
The stories, the stories we could tell. The stories we could tell.
Yeah, welcome. I'm the only other father on the podcast, so I know.
right.
Thanks for putting in the work.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, there you
Dad.
go.
Hey,
Wow.
unity.
That's hard.
Finally, someone can relate to your stories.
I know.
No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
So just start up from the top. Tell us, where you born, where you from.
All right. Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
Grew up there.
Falcons.
Left home around 19 to go in the Air Force for 8 years and met Jacob's mother down in Abilene, Texas. I was in the service there for the last 4 years I was in, and Jacob came along in 94 and moved up here in 1990 in 92.
I never was in Texas. So.
No, but we moved to Omaha when I got out of the service and spent a little bit of time there. And then we live in Midwest to this day, Nebraska.
You didn't want to stay in Texas a little bit longer to let Jacob and his brother get trained by the athletic teams there. They breed some good athletes.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, wait, why did you guys move to Nebraska again? I forget.
Well, we wanted to be close to your grandmother,
Okay,
who
yeah.
kind of helped us out with raising the family, and your grandpa. So
Yeah, that's something I really resonate with because
Why did you move to Nebraska?
Well, your dad finished college after he got out of the Air Force, and at that time there was a lot of SNLs going under
SNLs?
Saturday Night
savings and
Live.
loans. Savings and loans
Oh, okay.
going under financially.
Well, SNL was also good.
and
Yes.
he was not finding a job.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
In Abilene, Texas? Oh,
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. Wait, what was going on? It was the early 90s. I thought the economy was great in the early 90s. What happened?
Was
I
it
don't
good?
know, I just
Was there oil in Abilene, though?
Was there oil in Abilene?
I think they just wanted to jump on the Nebraska 90s football bandwagon. Is that
Ooh.
right?
87% of the SNLs were due to Texas. Happened in Texas.
Ooh.
What is an... I don't even know what is that. What is
Saving
this?
and loans. They were
Like-
basically given the charging interest rates for mortgages at 4%, but paying on deposits at 9%. I don't have a degree in calculus. It doesn't take very long to figure out you'll go bankrupt if you keep doing that.
Yeah. When I hear save and loan, that's my mind goes to It's a Wonderful Life. Because that's what's going on in It's a Wonderful Life.
money's not in the bank.
Yeah. You gotta save the saving loan. We gotta do it.
Your money's in the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly. What about you? Yeah, great. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so due to economic factors, you guys move over to Nebraska. And
Wait, so
that's
the
where,
percentages were better in Nebraska or what?
While the market was bigger, Omaha is a much larger city than Abilene.
And you were
is.
like, I'm good with Dallas and San Antonio. You didn't want to move to those places.
No, we kind of wanted to move back up to the Midwest. Abilene was nothing but mesquite trees and sand. And we could not wait to see. We had a saying we couldn't wait to see Abilene in our rearview mirror.
Oh.
And we moved up. We did. We both said that.
Wait, can
So-
you? Isn't there a story about like a neighbor's house getting burned down when you lived in Texas? That was in Nebraska.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we moved up to Johnny Carson's town, Norfolk, Nebraska. If you know much about him, and we lived in a part of town that had a new home, and we moved into it. We rented it while we were in there trying to find a career for me. And one night we woke up, and the whole room was illuminated with the color of flames.
Oh,
and
shoot.
we thought the house was on fire, but it was a neighbor's house.
And it wasn't their house; it was a car.
Yeah, it was a
Damn.
car. Yes.
Oh, we had a car caught on fire?
Yeah, a car
Oh, my
was on
God.
fire.
And
You were not born yet.
and why do you think that car was on? You had some theories about
I
it.
don't know. It was a lot of bad things going on with our neighbors. We didn't ask many questions. So
As God intended, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
like keep to
certainly.
yourself.
Yeah.
Like no need to get into the drama.
2320s.
23
Apparently, that's code for white trash.
2320s is code for white trash.
Why is that code for white trash? WT? Oh, because 2320. Wow, that's. I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start using that.
Is
Wow.
Nebraska one of those places where people frequently say they spot UFOs?
Well,
It's probably easier.
I tell you what, Shane, they do have a Bigfoot convention.
Oh, nice.
No kidding. I am not kidding. It just happened this past summer. They have it every year over at the event center.
They do?
Yeah,
They
that sounds
do.
great.
It's
That sounds fun.
Bigfoot a convention.
Did you
And
go?
1 year, I did not go this year, but
This year.
I'm
Not this
going to
year.
try to go one of these years and just find out who these people are and what they do for a living.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty great. Yeah. All right. I
They
think
probably teach Taekwondo to like.
Taekwondo instructors.
Or they may be your surgeon or banker or lawyer too.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
You don't know.
Man. You know,
No wonder our economy's
there
like
are,
this.
dude. The conspiracy community is rife with professionals. There's a lot of like people that make good money, do like quote unquote good professions, and they're like,
I think that-
batshit crazy about one thing.
I think they're generally on the lower rungs of those professions, though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Like,
like a
they
like
might be a
shyster
lawyer, but they're at like Joe Blows. Like,
Yeah, they're not,
whatever.
there's a reason.
yeah.
They have
They're not doing
there's a reason
too
they have so
well.
much time to type on Reddit.
Yeah.
Because their skills are probably not in too high of demand.
What you'll find in those conspiracy communities too is like it's mostly maybe it is on the surface about Bigfoot, but what it really is about is like community, right? People
Yeah,
just want to come
community.
together.
Yeah.
Like they've probably been going to the same convention every year. They see like, did we find him yet? No, but hey, great to see you, Phil. Like,
Yeah, and really, if you
know.
if you dive even deeper,
They need it, bro.
it's
They need
about
it.
it's about loneliness.
oh, yo, yeah, for
Like
sure.
you said, community. They're
Community.
two sides of the same coin.
yeah, they probably are kind of lonely, and they
That's
do
probably
wanna-
where Jacob's dad's interest comes from. You probably want to see that too. And like, what's their community like? What are their what are they doing with this Bigfoot IP? what's their take on it?
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit about Grand Island. It's a town about maybe 50,000. We lived there since 95, January 95. Jacob was born in December of 94.
Nice.
He
you got it
would
right.
have been a Christmas baby, but the doctor didn't want to interrupt his holiday
Ah,
and deliver him that day. I think that's the storyline, Denise. I'm not sure.
thank God we have the mom here for the fact checking.
Why don't you give me
Yeah.
that?
How did the birth that you experienced actually happen?
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to do a VBAC. Do you know what that is?
Feedback is
A vaginal birth
Vaginal birth.
after a cesarean. And
because my brother was huge.
and I just labored forever, and they decided on the 26th to take you by C-section.
Wow. You were
So-
born the day after Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gotta be rough.
December 26th. No,
you get-
everyone says that, and I'm always just like, no, I never had school on my birthday.
That's
But
great.
no one cares about it either. At the
It's,
same time.
yeah, it's Boxing
Yeah.
Day, man. Wait, did you guys double up on the gifts, or did you just get them one gift and say, "Hey, it's for both"? Sorry, buddy.
Never.
You always got
Never,
two
ever,
gifts.
ever.
Oh, Jacob's involved. Come in,
And you know
Jacob.
what?
That's
And you know,
awesome.
good on you, because a lot of people say that, and every single time I get to praise you instead of shame you. So
We make up for it by not getting him anything.
Yeah,
For either day.
yeah. My birthday was on the 19th, so I think that makes you a Sagittarius or you're an Aquarius.
I don't care about any of that.
That
didn't answer the question.
That did not
It's not
answer
what
the
it's
question.
not.
I don't know. You
don't know your
Are
horoscope?
you my Tinder date? What's going on?
How do you date effectively if you don't know your horoscope?
Yeah,
I go.
It's
You tell me
basic
what
info.
it is. I don't know what.
I'm fluent in the zodiac
And
because
you
I
just
love
don't remember
women.
what they say. You
No,
just
I
forget
just.
it every
I
time.
literally do not care.
You never thought to like remember it.
Anytime a girl takes it seriously, I just like I don't. What is going on?
No, I think it's cute. when
Maybe
they
that's
take
why
it
I'm not
serious.
having success.
Yeah.
Men have the stock market. Women
Yeah.
have horoscopes. They're both equally intangible nonsense.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
Past horoscopes. are
Economics is a behavioral science, by the way. Hope
Yeah,
everyone
it's
knows
true.
that.
Well,
No.
you know, the number game, it kind of works in our family. His older brother, Derek, was born on my 20th birthday.
Mm.
So, not the
Nice.
same year, but the same day. And so
That'd be
was a
weird if it was the
surprise.
same year.
Yeah, sure. he was due on the 14th or 24th of September, I believe.
Oh, so
He didn't come out till the 5th.
so he was born on your 20th birthday, which means you guys
28th.
28th. Oh, I was gonna say, man, you guys got married young.
No.
Yeah, no.
We didn't get married until I was 25 and she was 23.
Which in your guys' day and age, geez, what were you guys doing?
Yeah,
Let's
that
go.
was old.
Was that considered late back then?
Well,
Aw, congrats.
Congrats.
35
kind of.
years.
I was just getting out of the service, you know, and we kind of wanted to get settled where we was going to be. And it was about a year and a half or maybe 14 months after Derek came along.
Wait.
when we got married.
So how exactly did you meet? Like, what was what
well, I
happened?
met her at a bar.
What were you wearing?
Oh,
Would you remember
nice.
were you dressed as? Set the scene for us.
I was actually
What was
decked
playing?
out. I had the suspenders on. I went to
nice.
the Old Navy or something. I bought the shoes and the shirt. And I wasn't really never a big fan of beer after I got back from 2 years in Germany. So what I would do, guys, I would get the local Coors Light, which is the watered down beer. People make fun of that.
Yeah.
So I just sit there and I just look around, and it was a meat market. I mean, because really, to be honest, really, this is how we met. So the lights were really low, and so you would be dancing with a girl all night, and then the lights would come on when they closed, and you think, "Whoa, get out of there,"
Wow.
But anyway, I sat there and I met her. She worked nights as a nurse.
Nice.
And Denise was recruited to go down to Abilene to be a nurse because they had a hard time getting nurses down there. And so I met her, and I asked her out on the first date on the phone. This is when we had, you guys are too young to remember this, but there used to be tape recorders, the little tape recorders for your phone. So Denise gets the message from me. She plays it, and I pronounce my name Stetson, like the hat,
STET.
in Cologne.
SON.
And she thought she was going to get a guy with a lot of money. Well, it didn't work out that way. It's Stetson. It's not Stetson. So that's how we met. Now, what is your version, Denise? How?
Met at a dance
Yeah.
because it was a nightclub.
Well,
nice.
what year was this? I need to hear the songs.
September
in
of
my head.
'87, because I got to the
So is this
base in
Purple
January
Rain?
of '87.
Ooh.
Is this Purple Rain?
Yeah, what was on the what was playing? What was the soundtrack?
It was Billy Idol,
Nice.
Rebel Yell,
Nice.
the guy who introduced us, Mark Cobb. He hit on me. He was in the military too. He's gay.
Nice.
Mark was
he in the Navy?
fantastic guy. He was an artist in the military, in the Air Force, and I was in administration. So I would go to him to get ready for these meetings, and I would give him some ideas, and he was a graphic artist, and he would put it down on paper for the meetings. So that's how he and I kind of got to be good friends. And so he hit on me one time, and I told him I wasn't gay. That's fine. And I have two brothers. I have two brothers who are gay. One still living, one died of AIDS. And so, but that's in the
Rest in
past.
peace.
But he introduced me to Denise.
Nice.
Yes,
So was
he
this
did.
This is pre or post hit on? It was after he hit on you.
After.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was after.
Okay.
Oh, he
Yeah.
was like, oh, not
But I
available
tell
for
you
me.
what.
How about my friend?
Mark Cobb was the best looking guy, best dressed guy, and the best dancer at Graham's.
You must have been a
Graham's.
real catch if he was
Well,
like, he's like,
yeah,
someone's
yeah.
got to be with this
Every
man.
girl in
If I
that
can
place,
have him,
you
someone's
testified
gotta.
to these. Every girl in that place wanted to dance with him because he was the best dancer.
Oh yeah,
mean,
yeah. This guy
makes
sounds real
sense.
gay, man.
He knew it.
That's
He knew
that's
it.
the ironic thing. They always dress so well.
He was the
They're
nicest
very
guy,
put
though. I
together.
mean, it was. But
That speaks highly of you because I feel like a lot of guys, especially in that day and age, like never talk to me again.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
oh no, it was before the "don't ask, don't tell" rule. Back then you could get discharged.
yeah. Oh,
And I don't know what years you were in, but back then you could.
yeah. It was 2012 when they got rid of "Don't Ask, Don't Tell."
Yes.
and I went in 2014.
Yeah.
So it was
Oh.
relatively fresh.
So thank God. They
Thank God.
got rid
Yeah,
of it, 'cause,
I would have been kicked out. In
Well,
2000.
Nathan's
I
gay.
feel that if you want to defend your country, you should be able to.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't care. I mean, people don't realize there's gay people in the military. When I went in,
Oh.
there always have been.
Yeah.
They just didn't. You kept it a secret.
So
Yeah,
why weren't gay people allowed?
The close quarters with other men. But
that
when
makes
I
sense,
went
right?
in, we had dormitories, but I had my own separate apartment. And my area that I had for myself was probably maybe a third of this apartment here. And I was a buck sergeant when I got to base. And so I lived by myself. It's not like Gilmore Powell. You ever seen that program on Jim Neighbors?
That was before. I
Sergeant
know the
Carter.
name, but that's before our time. We would have never
The
seen it.
closet hut with all the guys living really close together in the Marine Corps. That's not the military that I was part of. So as things evolved over the years, you're not taking showers with other men. You have your own shower. So
we can't have those gays in here when we're taking showers with each other.
It's amazing how much the civilian population, they don't know anything really about the military.
No.
They really don't.
Not at all.
They have no
Definitely
idea, but their tax dollars pay us
Yeah.
and buy all the equipment.
I just know I don't want to do it.
Do you think it's for the better or for the worse that the public doesn't know?
Yeah.
Is for the better or the worse?
For the better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't understand it.
Yeah. How the sausage is made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I
right.
think people would have a big problem with it. It's like, hey, look, you want your country to be defended?
But that's
This
right.
is how we do
Yeah.
it.
No. Well, curious, like now that we're on the topic, how does it feel to go from, this day and age where it was very quiet, very muted, right? If someone was gay, they really kept it to themselves. And the way you see homosexuality treated now, like how has that transition to social acceptance made you feel?
Personally, I don't agree with it for religious reasons. I don't agree with it. But everyone in this country has a right to be who they are. I defended this country for 8 years to give them that right to be who they are.
Nice.
This isn't communist Russia. This isn't the Middle East. This isn't Nazi Germany. This is the United States. Everyone has a right to be who they are. Just because I don't like the way you look doesn't mean they may not like the way I look.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
You sure? I mean,
Those gays are very catty.
yeah.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
at least one gay
I feel
guy
like
like that.
getting hit on by a gay man is a bigger compliment than getting hit on by a
Yeah,
woman.
absolutely.
I'm like, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Guys, I have to really, to get personal here, I had my older brother died of AIDS, and Alan was probably my favorite sibling. My next oldest brother is gay too. I haven't spoken to him in almost 20 years because of our disagreement with my religious belief and his homosexual lifestyle right now. The Bible can be used for a lot of good reasons. It can be used for a very powerful tool of hatred too.
No, absolutely.
And I said some things that was very hurtful to him. And so it was basically, I asked for his forgiveness. That tongue can be more powerful than the sword. And it proved it with my experience with David. And hasn't called back, and we haven't spoken. So
No, it's a shame. It's
it's
always sad to
sad.
see. Yeah, it's sad to see family fall
But
apart
you have
like
to
that.
understand, I grew up in high school with my older brother, knowing that he was gay. And I understood it from a different perspective because I grew up with it. And I was okay with it. But a lot of people will shun away from it and don't give it a chance.
Yeah.
My father, when Alan was my father's namesake, Alan was Alan Victor Stinson Jr. My father's name was Ackman Victor Sr. So the last 6 months, my father finally came to terms with Alan's lifestyle, and he was eating it with guilt because the way he treated Alan. So I'm sorry, this is getting too
No,
personal.
this is exactly why.
What were the years that you grew up?
Well,
70s.
I was born in '63. I'll be 61 in October.
Nice.
So I left. I failed first grade. Let's get that out.
Oh yeah, you felt first
I
grade.
failed first grade. So
I mean, your dad graduated high school in '82. So back then,
Wait, when he was 20. Wait, when were you born again?
63.
Okay, it took you
I was
19.
19.
It took you 19 years.
Yeah.
All right, one extra.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Didn't talk about still
No.
or come out of the closet. If
No.
somebody in your family was
Right,
that, you
yeah.
just shoved it under.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
No,
Any,
yeah.
any group in
We
this,
didn't talk about it.
any group in the South. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
in Georgia
and
too,
see
yeah.
what made it really worse was my dad was the blue collar guy. He was in the Army for 4 years. He was very proud that I went to the military for the time that I served our country. And when he worked for Rodeo Express as a diesel mechanic, he come home every day covered in grease because he was in the pit working on engines. So he worked with a bunch of blue collar guys, the good old boy gang. And so he came home and he saw what Alan was doing as a reflection of his failure, not being a good father.
Yeah, of course.
And so there were some things that towards the end, he was totally eaten up with guilt because, again, the way he was treated. And get this, when Alan was buried, he died on August 1st, 1994. I won't ever forget it. And I was actually ashamed to tell Jacob for a few years that his uncle died of AIDS because I didn't want
yeah, I
him to
think I
know.
learned this maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I didn't really reveal it to him. Derek knew it, but I didn't tell you. And you're more open than Derek is,
Yeah, I live in the
believe.
gay capital of the world.
But when Alan was buried, he was buried next to my dad by mistake. So my mom is still living. And so they said, well, Elizabeth, don't worry about it. We can move Alan over. My mom goes, no, don't worry about it. Alan and Vic were always at each other's throat. The good Lord wanted them to be buried next to each other. It was meant to be that way. So they're buried next to each other. My mom should have been buried there. And it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I guess when you pass, it kind of doesn't matter where they put you, right?
Yeah. So, Denise, I want you to kind of open up a little bit about Denise worked nights when I met her, and she worked many years. She's still at RN, very proud of her. She worked in the intensive care unit when I first. Well, we didn't really get a chance to date because, get this, when I would call her, it was during the day and she was sleeping, and I would go on the phone with her, and I would be talking, and I didn't know it, but 5 minutes would go by, and she was sleeping. She was sleeping on the phone.
Oh my God.
And then what are you doing?
Maybe she was. Maybe she was.
I called her during the day.
Maybe he would have stayed awake if he was a Stetson.
If you had the steps in the lower.
And get this. This is the time and age. You guys don't. How old are you?
I'm 31. Shane is also 31.
All right, so you're all children. That's great because our country's in good hands. You guys,
good.
I am
good to feel
very
young
impressed
for once.
with this podcast and stuff that I've been listening to. How engaged you are and how knowledgeable you guys are with current events.
Right on.
Yeah.
There's some young people that I see, and I said, no, there's a lot of young people out there who's going to take the reins over when I get old and I need somebody else to run this country.
Oh, yeah. You're in good hands with us, man.
But when I was,
I mean, I don't know, but
well, me and Shane at least.
when I got, you guys don't remember the day and age that there were no cell phones.
Yeah,
or computers.
I remember that. It was great.
I know. We
The sky was brighter.
Yeah,
the greens were greener.
we would have been in like middle school when like flip phones came out.
Yeah, the
But by the
Razor,
time
the
we were in-
Motorola Razor dropped when we were in 7th grade.
middle school.
yeah.
Middle school.
Or the
If you had
back
a razor,
phone.
you were
The
cool.
back
We
phone
never
you
looked
plugged
back
into your
after
phone, your socket, your cigarette lighter in your car.
Oh, yeah.
The back
Oh,
phone.
I never
We
met-
thought that we had it when we had that.
Oh, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Dude,
Wait, so
shout out
you-
to the guy who converted that into an outlet. That's
I know,
fucking
yeah.
awesome.
Although now, where am I going to light my cigarettes?
Yeah,
We're a little frustrated.
Well, I was telling Jacob and the kid and Derek one time, I don't know what I was thinking, but I got some little cards, like business cards, and I wrote down my number, and I got myself, this is very foreign to you guys, but the rotary phones when you had the dials.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I got myself a phone like that. And so I went around in the club and I would hand these cards out with my number on it. So I would go home and I was thinking, man, I'm going to start getting the calls. People are going to need me, you know. I said about a phone. I said, why not I pay like $10 a month to get a phone to it. I was staff sergeant. I didn't make much money.
Yeah.
I said, well, I got rid of the phone maybe about 3 months after that. So no one was calling me.
and $10 back then was like $500.
it was a lot.
Right?
That's a lot of money, man. You can go a long way with $10.
No one was calling me.
No, I've been talking too much, guys.
No,
I'm just imagining.
This is what we wanted.
This is why, yeah.
I'm just imagining you
We
sitting
talk
by the
enough.
phone, just like,
Come on.
minute now.
Well, let's
now.
talk
Someone's
about
gonna
the
call.
news of the day. Let's talk about Camilla and Donald.
Wait. But before we dive into politics, I did have a quick question.
How'd you say your name?
So you
Camilla. How do you pronounce it?
It's Kamala.
it's actually Kamala. Kamala.
Tamara. I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually Kamala.
Camelot?
Yeah, people say Kamala, but it's actually Kamala.
Really?
Yeah, it's I think I don't know, but she just runs with Kamala
Because it sounds more ethnic.
Yeah.
She's like, this tested well with the blacks.
Yeah.
Here we go. Is she Indian or is she black? What is a mixed race person?
Oh, shout out to
Let's find out.
Hey, me and Shane we see ourselves up there. We're biracial as well.
Yeah.
No,
right
you guys
on.
have to choose one race. You didn't know that?
We're like quad, oct.
Yeah, we're a lot of different things.
Octracial. What were you
Yeah.
gonna ask?
Oh, well, so yeah, I wanted to bring it back quickly before we transfer because don't worry, I'm really excited to talk about the election. But you mentioned Jacob shared that you guys are Lutheran, and I was just curious: were you born into the Lutheran faith, or was that something you took on as an older man?
Now, I'll let Denise take off on this one.
Well, I was born into the Lutheran faith.
Oh, nice.
John was Baptist growing up.
Mhm.
And then when we got married, he became Lutheran.
He converted for you.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah. I didn't want to have my kids going to two different churches,
Yeah.
and
I don't know. We feel like that your religion and your faith is important when you're raising a family.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and his knees were just getting sore. They're always on their knees in the Baptist church and stuff. So.
Well, what kind of was it? Is it like a traditional Baptist, or was it like tambourine shaking?
oh no, it
speaking in
wasn't.
tongues.
What do you call that? Charismatic.
Or as
Yeah,
I
You
call it,
see a lot of the
Saturday
hill
night.
people do that. You know,
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
rattlesnakes. The good Lord, something will anything happen to me if I pray hard enough. And no, I wasn't. It was Southern Baptist.
Oh, nice.
And
Classic.
our pastors went to seminary. You know, they had a formal education to take over a congregation. So I went away into the service and kind of fell away from my prayer life and my reading the Bible and so forth. And actually, Denise got me back in church, and we started to. We met. And I don't know exact date, but it was in September of '87, and we got engaged in June of '88.
Oh,
and we got
nice.
married
Quick.
on the 5th of August of '89. It was 35 years ago, this past August 5th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Right. Well, your anniversary just passed too.
That's right.
Congrats.
So
Look at that. 35 years.
Yeah, 35
Hell
years.
Beautiful.
Now, I wanted, with that, saying that, I told you, let's go back to the date that I thought you don't want to ever forget your wife's date of birth, right?
Yeah, of
Have you
course.
ever done that before?
Oh no. Hell
No, I
no.
have. I have.
Oh no.
You forgotten it?
Well, Denise gets home, and this is a time when we had those little tape recorders on our phone. So I get home from work before she did. And it was the 14th of September. That was Denise's date of birth was 14th of September. I say birth kind of weird, but you know what I mean by this.
Yeah,
time. I
yeah.
say
Her
birth.
birthday.
Her birthday.
whatever.
Yeah, it's probably a
And
southern
so
draw.
I get home, and Ty Benton, we got a call from our insurance guy, and he took over from Dee Price. He bought out her book of business. So he gives us a call and leaves a message and wishes Denise a happy birthday. So I come over there and I said, Denise, come on over here. I want you to listen to this tape recording from Ty Benton. He doesn't, he's trying to retain our business. He doesn't even have your date of birth right.
Oh my God.
Now,
No.
Man, you really doubled down,
she
didn't you?
looked at me.
You
Her
really
face
doubled
was as
down.
red as you could get. And I felt so embarrassed. When we built our house, we had cable put into the garage. I felt really bad. I really did.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
She looked at me and she says, today is my birthday. And she said, the ladies at work was saying, what's John going to do for you? What's John going to do? Well, John didn't say anything. Well, John didn't say anything because he thought it was 10 days away. So,
And that's tough too, because I think the biggest value of your husband or partner doing something for you is so you can tell your girls about it.
Yeah.
well, Denise, what did you get that year for your gift?
Better been like a Rolex or something.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
it was a pearl bracelet.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Good recovery. Good recovery. Nice.
Ah, that's why you guys are still married.
So,
Saved it. Good
if I
save.
forgot
And,
my wife's birthday, she would murder me.
I would love
You
to see
think
what
I'm
would happen.
exaggerating?
I would love to see what would happen.
She
No.
would
I'd love to be there.
eviscerate me.
And I just
Yeah.
want to say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I once forgot my mom's birthday.
Oh.
Never mind. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Apparently she forgot.
No.
Apparently she forgot.
Oh,
No, I
shit.
did. You don't remember that? I certainly do. I remember it, and I will never forget it again.
And now she knows that you forgot her birthday.
I thought you knew.
It was water under the bridge.
This was like 7 years ago.
Have you guys, have you ever lived in the suburbs? You guys ever lived in the suburbs?
Yeah, I live in Daly City now, which is very close to San Francisco.
Okay.
So I work in San Francisco, and it's a very short commute, but you can call it a suburb.
Okay.
I briefly spent time in Hanover, New Hampshire, and it was
Okay.
very suburban.
Did you
there.
have part of your duties around the house? Did you have to cut the grass?
Oh, I didn't grow up in the sub. I grew up in the trash heap. But no, so that's a. Did you?
We were expected to like weed the garden and stuff. We never mowed the lawn. We never had grass.
This man loves his lawn.
I bet.
Well, I always want to keep the lines straight, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm doing it now.
I love a good lawn. Yeah.
Whenever I do that, I always remember Jacob.
Yeah, so I would in high school, whatever age it was, I just wanted to get it over with so I could go play with my friends, whatever the fuck I was doing. And So I'd like run with the lawnmower. We had like push lawnmower, and I'd run with it, and like obviously the lines were very straight.
No, what had happened because he put his weight on it. It was doing a
wheelie.
wheelie.
No, I didn't put my.
And the blade, if he was in front of the lawnmower, he could probably see the blade, and it was
running
like
laps.
he like leaves swaths on the lawn like this thick. And I told him, don't worry about this. I'll
And
go
when you
back
push one of those
anyway.
lawnmowers, like our lawn isn't exactly flat, all of it. So you're just like going back and forth. And
But then you realize that if you had just done it correctly the first time, you would have saved so much time and
Yeah.
effort.
Well,
just take your
that's the hard
time.
way,
No,
man.
he
And
would've-
deliberately go through
No.
it, and then
I
it's
didn't
over.
have to redo it. If she didn't exist, I probably would have had to redo it.
I
Yeah.
had a friend of mine at work.
Thanks,
that lived
Mom,
down the
for-
Thank
street.
God.
taking the load.
I had a friend of mine at work that lived down the street, and she said, "Man, your son is really motivated to cut that lawn." Well, coming around season time for football to start, he wanted to get inside to watch the Huskers play.
That's true.
And that's why the thing of it is now there's one other event that happened, and I kind of let up on you guys. I was always trying to figure out that I did all the work around the house, and I got two sons sitting around not doing any work. So I said, I want you guys to go out in the garage, and then you need to sweep. You need to sweep the leaves. You need to do something. So then I went downstairs in the basement. I didn't know how they did it. I thought they was out there sweeping it, like doing a really good job with it. Well, they got the leaf blower out. Just blowing all the leaves out of the yard. I didn't want it in my yard.
Now
I
it's
just
someone
ripped the
else's
yard.
problem.
We're smarter, not harder.
What are you doing?
No. But that's exactly what we did with the sweeper. We just sweeped it outside.
Yeah.
But so you were basically like, no, you can't cheat like that. You have to do it the hard way, even though the end result was exactly the same.
So anyway,
Beyond the, it's
Yeah, no, I get it. We get you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
we
don't
understand that you're trying to teach your son structure.
It's about
and
discipline.
discipline,
Yeah.
and etc.
Well, we're talking about this now, and I'm just curious. Like, you raised two boys. What was the difference between, if there was any, like how you were raised and then how you chose to raise the boys?
well, I don't know if my dad and I were very close. We played church league softball. We played church league basketball. He and I broke down a V8 in a Malibu Classic, put it all back together again.
Nice.
God, that's so cool.
Those were nights to where I was sitting outside, and to this day, I still have to take my car in to get it worked on. Because he tried to teach me something.
Yeah.
He went to the GI Bill after the Korean War
Mhm.
and to learn how to be a diesel mechanic. So he wanted me to learn. I was named after his father. Except our middle names aren't the same.
Mm.
And so he and I did a lot of things that was close. We were very close. That's one thing I can say that he didn't have with David and Alan. And I don't know if that's maybe the way they turned out. I don't know that for sure. But I do know for a fact that I'll be sitting out and he goes, well, John, this is how you take out the valves. This is how you clean them. And this, we're going to take out the pistons, and we're going to maybe clean out put new spark plugs in with new cords and everything in. And I'll be out there at almost 11:30, 12 o'clock at night holding the lamp. And I had to go to school the next day. My mom would say, Vic, let him go to bed. He's got to go to school in the morning. But I didn't care. I wanted to be out there with my dad,
Beautiful.
So I think, and I wish I would have had more chance to do that with Derek and Jacob. I would go in the backyard and I would throw football around with you. And I think Denise even said one day that she appreciated me doing that because it was something that your kids grow up fast. How many children do you have?
I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Spend a lot of time with them because
Of course,
they grow
yeah.
up really fast.
Well, I'll give an example of something that you did with us I really liked. So in our home, the first home in Grand Island, I was in from basically any time I can remember till 12 or something like that. Well, newborn to 12 whenever we moved to that apartment. And we had a big field behind our house, and you bought 100 baseballs, and you go out there with a gallon thing and just throw it to us, and we just
nice.
Go pick them back up,
and
and then
Yeah.
just get up
Yeah.
there
That's
and
great.
hit it again.
we always had a field behind our house,
Yeah.
which is
Nice.
the
Yeah.
greatest
Yeah.
thing ever. More so when you're younger, but still, it's just nice
Yeah.
to not have anyone behind you.
did that. And
Anyways, but I think you gotta give yourself more credit. It's not like you didn't.
well, and then I've always made sure that I make sure that Denise is, she's an angel on earth. She really is. I don't know if you guys, I have 2 back surgeries.
Oh, I don't know.
So I had one in 12 and 15 and the serious ones. And she was working 12. When you work a 12-hour shift, it really turns into a 13, maybe a 14-hour shift. She'd come home and take care of me for 4 months until I got back on my feet and got back to work. So, and it wasn't just one time, it was 2 times. So
Nice.
Denise takes the reign of a lot of things that happens in our family.
Oh
as
yeah,
far as,
she's also a nurse. So, and he's a baby when he gets sick. So, like, he
Well,
is, right? You wouldn't agree?
perfect example. She made him a big loaf of zucchini bread, and she put it in her book bag to make sure it wasn't mashed to give to her son when she got here.
It's true. It's one of the it's one of the
So
mainstays.
it's one of the things that
Zucchini
she
bread
does.
made by my mom is unlike any other zucchini bread.
I love
Nice.
zucchini bread.
You should have brought some.
But to answer your question, Nathan, I went to we went to the basketball games. We
Yep, you were
took part in a
very
lot of
supportive
activities
of-
that both of our sons were involved with.
Yeah.
We made sure that the little league nights, the games, the baseball
Yeah,
games.
baseball
Yeah.
through 8th grade was nice. I would
Basketball
say
games.
one thing that you passed down probably from your dad is your OCD-ness.
Yeah, yeah.
And while I didn't exactly enjoy it growing up, I think it probably is part of the reason for any success I've had in my life.
yeah.
Because you definitely instill discipline and just you have a goal and you're going to do these things until you get that goal.
That's true. I always
And-
told Jacob, I said, I don't care what you do. If both my sons came to me and said they were gay, I wouldn't care. I still love them the same. I said, I will never,
Yeah.
we will always be proud of our
and,
kids.
and that
Well,
Always.
I'm glad you said that because
Yeah,
the
we got
real
some
reason
news
you're
for you.
here, we got some
Yeah.
news for you.
the reason we're having on the podcast is
You know who initiated?
well, you know why? That's what I was thinking too, actually.
Oh, sorry. It was set up.
Yeah,
I don't want to get all mushy about it or anything, but you know
Well-
who initiated the hug today at the airport?
Ooh.
In
I did.
front of everyone? He did.
They were
course.
just gonna get into my car, and I was like, "Yo, chill, it's hard."
yeah.
He just jumps into the car and he goes, Mom, get out here. I can give you a hug.
In my defense.
Yeah.
That's the California rubbing off on him. you know,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's right.
Well, you know
we're
what they
about
say that you get your physical body from your mother, but you get your spiritual body from your father. So
I do get my physical
That
body.
makes
Yeah.
sense. I'm looking
Look at
over
that.
and it's very uncanny sometimes.
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, you guys look a lot
I have
alike.
the height of your dad, and
You have the exact same eyes.
face and eyes, and dad
Yeah.
just over
No,
there.
but like, you know, the humor, the work
Yeah.
ethic, perspectives on
Yeah.
life all really come heavily from your father. So
Yeah.
it's I'm very happy for you, Jacob, that you had a
Oh,
present
yeah.
father who, you know,
No,
cared.
that said, when
Golf.
you would,
Oh.
I mean, you were so, your OCD-ness was like, again, thank God you were there because you were a good buffer, I think.
Well, Nathan, you can attest to this. The military can instill that.
Well,
in
that
you.
too.
Oh, yeah.
That too. I'm
Yeah.
sure
Because
that
they want
plus
things
military.
done
Oh, yeah, 8
over
years in
and
the
over and
armed
over the
forces.
right way.
Yeah.
Well, so she worked 3 like days a week, but 12-hour shifts. So sometimes she would be off when I got home from school, and sometimes she'd be working till 6:30 and not get home till later. He got home around 5:30 every
Yeah.
day. So the days when she worked, like me and my brother were like mentally preparing for like an hour of like just make it till mom comes home because this dude's gonna tell us to do so many fucking chores.
Everything will be all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, kind of, yeah. Like sometimes, like, well, it depends on your mood.
Well,
I
and
think.
I remember him and his brother are golf champions at Heartland Lutheran High
Excuse
School.
me, only I am a golf champion.
Well, but
Oh,
Derek
poor
was-
Derek.
Derek was
Sorry,
happy for the
Derek.
team.
Sorry, listening to this.
And we would sit out there, and in Nebraska, it gets cold in doing golf season.
It does, yeah, because we start golfing in like April.
And we'd be out there, and especially when you get to the state tournament, the first day, the rep will say, "We don't want you guys helping your kids find the ball." Second day, we want all the parents to find the ball. Get out of here.
All right, we didn't know how bad it was going to be. Help them find the ball.
They were hitting them in the leaves and the trees and the swamp, and we was like, "We got to find that ball. I'm going to go home tonight."
That's something that Shane can relate to this. Shane and I are California boys, born and raised in California.
Yep.
Shane in a particularly much warmer part of California. I graduated boot camp in the heat of Illinois' blizzard. And the first time I stepped outside to blizzard conditions, I was like, why do people live here? This is horrifying. Like I was never that cold, and I've never since been that cold there.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah, living in Northern California makes you the biggest weather wimp. Me personally, if it's ever above like 80 degrees, I can't.
Dude, that's
too hot.
That's
It's
me
way
now.
too
Yeah,
hot.
that's me.
It's
I'm
too
just like, oh.
I can't do it. Or if it's like 55, I'm like, oh, get the puffer jacket
too
out.
cold.
It's too cold. Yeah. does. It's
I'm
funny.
like
to-
Goldilocks.
Yeah, it has to be just right.
Just right.
It's got to be
Jacob?
67 with a light breeze and a little sun coming in.
Yeah, I got to wear my little jackets.
I want to
Yeah.
ask you,
Like a dork.
living here in California,
Yeah.
and we'll get this in a minute,
As it
Nathan,
may be.
Shane. When I was coming out here, I always tell people very proudly that my son works for. And, I go an extra step.
We gotta edit that. We're gonna edit that
I'll
out.
be bleeping that out.
You have to bleep it. Yeah, we don't talk
say
about
where I
it.
work, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
But I always tell my friends how my son works really hard to get the job.
Mhm.
And I remember Jacob got real emotional when he told me he got the job. I
Yeah.
said, don't get emotional. Be proud of yourself. You worked hard to get this.
Yeah, and you got out of
Yeah.
Phoenix because of that.
Yep.
thankfully. So that's probably why he was crying for real.
The best thing that could have happened.
Well, he was almost went to New York, New Jersey. So I don't know.
Right on.
Yeah, when I was telling her that, she was like, New Jersey, the armpit of America? And I was like, thanks, Mom.
You can be on the side that's close to New York. though.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
up in that northern part.
But Newark is like mob. Like, that's like Sopranos territory.
Yeah, that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
in like
definitely-
You know what?
1987.
Well, let me
it's
tell you,
still-
it
it's
still
pretty
looks
rough.
like shit.
It's
Yeah.
still not look
give
great.
it time, baby.
But no,
Think about it. Don't need these thinking badges.
Yeah.
Think about it. Don't worry about it. Give me
Yeah,
this.
but
Nice.
I mean, yeah, I think getting that job was.
You know that guy
closest
ended up
I'd-
dying of a heart attack, didn't he?
James Gandolfini.
Yeah, he did. He died of being Italian.
He died of first and foremost being Italian, but second he also died with cocaine in his system. He was a
Yeah.
hard partying guy.
Sounds like
He drank a lot.
sounds about right.
And that
played
dude in
the
the
part
sixth
right.
season of The Sopranos, the last season of The Sopranos, you think it's like method acting, like he really dedicated himself to the character, but he just let himself go. You can hear him breathe on camera.
Yeah.
It gets
Yeah.
to be a little distracting.
Wait, why?
it's
Wait, what?
Well, yeah, no, he looks terrible in
Yeah,
season
he
six.
does.
Why?
He looks really bad.
He just like burned out.
No, he looks
just-
way more tired. He looks way overweight.
out, or
yeah,
what? Like in
and
life?
I used to think like, oh, maybe they said because in the sixth season of The Sopranos, no spoilers, like things aren't going great for Tony. So I
Yeah,
thought it was
yeah.
a choice, but I think he was just losing control of himself.
Maybe it was a
and just ran with
choice
it.
put on by what was going on. With
Yeah,
it.
maybe the writing was influenced by like, look,
The real life,
Gandolfini,
like,
you're
this
looking bad, bro.
motherfucker- oh, oops. I mean, this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, swear jar.
Yeah.
Where's the swear jar?
No, Jacob, I want you to tell me, after living out here, what differences really stand out to you as far as being raised in the Midwest as opposed to California?
Definitely more gay people.
That you know
we've been
of.
through this.
Okay,
That you know. That you know of.
Besides the weather.
True. Yeah.
They just keep it to themselves over there.
What's the difference between here and the Midwest? I don't. People are just more open.
Yeah,
In
that's
general.
true. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the best summary of it. I mean, obviously there's weather, and we live in a city versus where you guys live.
I mean,
wouldn't say that.
we're definitely cuter here.
Yeah,
We're
I think,
definitely, I'm sorry.
I think there's aspects like I'm glad I grew up where I did because it at least gives me some sort of uniqueness here. A lot of people here are kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so that's like the main criticism. And it's true. I feel like a lot of people here come from very homogenous backgrounds
Yeah.
because in the Bay Area, socioeconomically, there's a lot of homogenization as well. So you end up just having the same sort of culture in every city.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
then you meet people when they have a very common background, they have a very common life experience and life trajectory. So then it's just the same, in like feeding into the same, into the
Yeah,
same.
and that homogenization transcends race too. Like, it
Right,
doesn't matter if you're
exactly,
originally
yeah.
from India. It doesn't matter if you grew up in Texas. Doesn't
It'll
matter
cleanse
if you grew up in New
that.
York.
Give it enough generations, it'll
had to-
cleanse it out
Yeah,
of you.
you had to go through so many filters to like get into the Bay Area and make it in
Right.
the Bay Area that you end
Right.
up kind of just being a
You
repeat
lose
of
yourself
same
in the
person.
process. You're
Yeah,
just like-
over and over.
Yeah.
It can be a little
We're
frustrating.
very cynical on this show. So.
Cost of living here. The cost of living here is really high, isn't it?
Oh
Or-
yeah, incredible.
So-
I mean, okay, just out of curiosity, if I went to your town and I was like, I only have $3,500 a month to spend on rent or a mortgage, what am I getting?
You would run the town.
Well, if you have enough to
$3,000
put down on a home, you could buy a nice house for that price.
Yeah.
Oh, you can buy houses there.
Oh yeah, no, we don't know anything about that. Yeah.
The 3,500 buy you a nice. If you have at least made 10 or 20% equity put into the put skin in the game,
No, what
you
does a
could get nice house.
$3,500 a month mortgage look like in your hometown? Like, what? Describe the house.
Well, so we have a 1,500 square foot house. It's not the nicest house in the neighborhood, but it's a nice house.
That's ridiculous square footage here, by the way.
Yeah, 1,500
Okay.
is a lot.
So we
Yeah,
bought
wow.
it in 2007, new home, brand new home.
Right before the collapse, too.
Two
Yeah.
202 $202,000.
Ooh.
$202,000.
Yeah.
Wow. What the?
Our house is
what-
paid for.
That'll get
Nice.
you like
So
a Honda Accord today.
and we
And not even the touring.
Not even the Grand Touring.
no, dude.
Well,
a Tesla pickup.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, we refinanced a couple times because the interest rates kept dropping. So at the end, we had 2.875.
yeah,
interest rate.
2.865. We paid some
Wow.
points on
Oh,
that.
So our
Okay.
house payment was less than $900 a month,
Oh,
but then we
Lord.
paid extra on the principal because
Right, because you refinanced.
Yeah.
Actually.
So actually, sometimes I think your house payment is cheaper than what you pay for rent because there's some newer
Mhm.
apartments
It-
in
yeah.
Grand Island that are probably what
A lot of time it
1,500,
is.
2,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and also
The
rent-
rental market has been designed now to just drag
Yeah.
anyone who's like entering it into like its
Yeah.
core
Mhm.
Yeah.
in perpetuity, like just
Yeah.
forever. Like you're not escaping now. It's too late.
Yeah, they know that you don't have the capital to have a mortgage, so they're like,
We're gonna make sure you don't.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
That's what's happening in Grand Island. The young
$3,500
families
a
don't
month.
have the down payment,
could
so
have
they're forced
really
into an
nice
apartment.
house.
Yeah.
wait, so $3,500 a month, you could live like a king. You could live in probably one of the really nice houses in our
The
neighborhood.
big house
Because you guys have a
damn.
nice.
on the golf course.
Are there any black
Yeah.
people who live there?
Yes, we have some Somalians. We have Sudanese from south, of course, and even from the north too, to escape.
So African.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, I think what Shane is asking though is there like foundational Black Americans?
African Americans.
there? Like like,
No, I don't know.
Okay, I knew
No, there's
three,
not. There's
I
not.
knew 3 black people throughout my wait, hold on.
Have
I'm
either
trying
of
to
you
think
ever
about
met a
high school.
Cambodian person?
I think there might be some in Grand Island. We have yes. Vietnamese. We have Vietnamese restaurants and Asian American restaurants that are ran by Asian Americans.
Yeah, I went to a Thai restaurant actually in
yeah.
Omaha, Nebraska once, and I was
Ooh.
driving
Yeah.
through, and there were Thai people there. I was like shocked. I was like,
Oh,
whoa,
man.
awesome.
Those
Yeah.
That's when
people
you're right here.
worked hard. When we sold our house, I think they bought our house for cash.
oh, nice.
Didn't they, Denise? Denise went
They
back.
do love working in cash.
They do love cash.
Yeah,
They do love
didn't
cash.
want they didn't want a real estate inspection.
Yeah,
We had
they
water going
don't.
on. They said,
They don't want to pay for the inspection. They're just
Yeah.
like,
They
we
just
will
will
trust you. Just come here, buddy.
I'm willing to bet you. I bet you they paid put a huge amount on that home.
Wow.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah, a lot of like old like places run by like old Asian people just take cash because they don't want to pay.
Because that's a core
They don't wanna pay
difference,
credit
right?
card
I think that's
fees,
the
yeah.
difference
Yeah.
between like the West Coast and the Midwest. Generally, is that the West Coast is a lot more diverse
Yeah.
in terms of ethnicity. So then you get these different ethnicities and their perspectives that are informed by their cultural heritage.
Yeah.
And as a result, you get a confluence here of all those factors. So you get people who think distinctly different than other parts of the country because of that diversity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
that's why I describe. That's why I describe it as more open because you basically have to be. Otherwise, you're just gonna like be annoyed all the time.
Yeah, my high school maybe had 8 white people in it. It was all Latino,
Yeah.
Filipino.
Same for me. Mine was 99% Mexican. I was 1%.
Shane and
Now we're
10,000 Mexicans.
Denise are too.
They're like half of Grand Island's Mexican,
Well,
right?
we have a lot of diversity with that though, because we have a lot of Cubans. We
Yeah.
have a lot of people
Oh.
from Guatemala.
Oh, yeah, shout out Guatemala.
Yeah, that's our family. Our family is from
Salvador.
Guatemala.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
So there's a big diversity of different. I don't know. Do you say Hispanic population?
We say Latino.
You can say
Latinx.
Hispanic. I think Hispanic's a safe term, honestly. It's very
Yeah,
safe,
yeah.
though. That's a very safe
Okay,
one.
but
Because some people are from, like,
truly
not Latin America.
African-American stuff,
Yeah.
It's more the Somali or Sudanese population that have immigrated
Mhm.
come
Yeah.
here because of the meat packing jobs.
true.
Yeah.
But I felt like it
Well,
was
with
pretty
those communities,
segregated.
I've heard this before. With those communities, the Somalis, the Sudanese, is the idea of the melting pot still running true, or do you find that those communities are insular?
In my experience growing up there, insular. I knew a couple because they were my classmates. But besides that, I couldn't have known that half of the population was like not white. That's my
But
experience.
I think there's more now than when you were in high school, just based by what I see.
Because of Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden's
opening up the
America.
borders.
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I mean, because
Joe Biden's opened the doors up.
the clinic that I work at, it's a women's clinic, but we see a lot of our clientele are Medicaid people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
I mean, a lot of
Living
them.
below the poverty
Growing
line,
up,
essentially.
Yeah.
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 I worked in my first job when I got out of the military. I still thought I wanted to work in the medical field, so I worked in the emergency room at San Mateo, in a county hospital, San Mateo County Hospital, and it was all recent immigrants from Latin America who qualified for free healthcare, essentially. And it was really interesting to see just the diversity of that, just because a lot of them. Some of them that would come in, they didn't even know how to sign their names. They're from the poorest, most rural parts of like El Salvador, Mexico, and they run up here in very high numbers. And it's I'm Latino, but that is a very different community, and that here is very insular. There is a ton of relatively recent migrants in the San Francisco area, where someone like me, Shane, and Jacob, even me and Shane, who are Latino, we have zero interaction with them. They are going to their own nightclubs. They have their own parties. They have their own communities. They have their own parties. It's very like two different worlds. So it's interesting that it's kind of the same thing with the African immigrants in the Midwest.
And I grew up in that world. Like that's where I grew up in though, is like that type of community that's like poor Mexican people, basically, like very poor Mexican people. So yeah, it was kind of like, I feel like life's been, for me, has been a continuous journey of like expanding my perspective beyond that. 'Cause it's so small scale.
It's very small scale.
And like we had guys, so it was weird that Jacob and I were able to find common ground because it turns out we grew up in very similar communities because they were poor Mexican people from rural communities. So they drove pickup trucks and there's a big like rodeo culture too. So we have a big rodeo every year. And when people would dress up to high school, they'd wear a big cowboy buckle, like a belt buckle and boots and like a big hat and stuff. And it was like,
it's interesting. There's like common,
like
obviously very different upbringings, but there's enough common ground there. That's like, okay.
Well, that's beautiful. Like
very
every culture loves trucks, man. Trucks rock.
Because like, no, it's very religious, it's a very religious culture,
Highly
rather
religious.
conservative socially. There's like a lot of overlap, I would say.
Well, this culture, as far as you look at the John Wayne, Gunsmoke, Rifleman, all those Western shows, if you ever watch MeTV.
Yeah, where they're blasting
all
these
white
Native
men.
Americans.
The ones that are all white.
Yeah, of
People
course.
don't realize it's a very distorted, untrue fact that the Mexican Americans settled the West. Most of the cowboys out here were not. They ran from the Southeast with the Civil War, and they faced persecution and enslavement. They came out here to where the tentacles of slavery and bad stuff like that happened. They got out here into freedom. So if you watch a lot of these shows, all these cowboys are white, and that's not true.
No,
If
wouldn't
you know
be the
you're-
case.
Sorry, can you turn the mic a little bit towards you? And like,
Yes, can you hear me now?
no, just turn it this way. Just turn it this way.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Because I want to be heard.
Yeah.
We want to hear
No,
you.
the American West was it is a, like, in the media, you're right, it's totally portrayed as white, but it was the first true melting pot.
It is,
You had in the Indians, you had free blacks, you had a ton of Latino people and a lot of like white people, but the white people kind of came in waves like later on. Like you said, the West was indeed settled by
but you look at all these shows and you think, oh, the white guy, no, they didn't.
I think for the cowboy to become our cultural myth, like our samurai, so to speak, and we had to whitewash it, basically.
You have some Native Americans out there that have rodeos. You have a lot of Indian reservations out there. They put on some good rodeo. I've never been to one or a powwow before, but I heard there's something to see. I mean,
the other thing too is, there was a huge influx of like white people, but it's interesting that you say samurais. It's because it was a similar cultural thing that happened. Like the samurais, like the wandering samurai thing comes from like, that order being broken up in Japan and like the wars stopping. And then you had all these men that were like, I have this sword.
I need work.
What else do I have to do?
There's no lords to serve.
There's nothing.
No,
and it was the same thing in the American West because it was post-Civil War. You had swaths and swaths of these young men who all they had known since they turned 14, 15, 16 was war. And that's the only thing they had. And then they were also deeply traumatized by the Civil War, which is a horrific war. It's like, I know that's not breaking any news here. The Civil War was not great.
You mean it's bad?
Yeah. So then all those gunslingers, the only skill they had, they came and they wandered the West and they caused havoc and genocided a couple of people.
But 2/3 of the people, there's 31 million people in the United States at the time. 21 million lived in the Northeast. 10 million lived in the South. And probably about 3.5 were slaves. The 4.5 was white. 2/3 of the people in the South didn't own slaves.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They were fighting for the planters. You got planters, you got super planters, you got super duper planters. Those are people who own many plantations.
Yeah.
They were fighting for them to keep their wealth.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And they were on the battlefield, and these guys were
100%.
sitting in the bar in the protection of their own homes, plantations, and not picking up a gun.
Fucking infuriating.
To tell
That's
as
why,
old as
you've
time.
called
No,
that
that's
logical.
why, for the burning passion, I fucking hate the Confederacy, because like what happens is like they got all of these dumb poor whites to die for them. No offense, dumb
Exactly.
poor whites, but they like brainwashed them into fighting for them, and then. All these sons, all these men died, but the plantation owners, their sons sat out the fucking war on a porch drinking fucking sweet tea.
Yeah.
And then what happens at the end of that? What happens in Reconstruction? Those same motherfuckers that sat on the porch took over the governorship.
Yeah.
We failed to root those motherfuckers out, and then that's where we get Jim Crow.
You're gonna owe so much money.
Grant almost seceded though, but he got corrupted. The people underneath him and corrupted Grant. Grant was almost did his second term in the Reconstruction, but he got all debacled into that mess that he got in with the big corporate monopolies that were happening.
Yeah.
And then he got involved with that, and that put it into it.
Yeah.
And he got sick with throat cancer.
Yeah.
So,
No, what should have happened is there should have been land distribution. We should have gone in there with federal troops and broken up those fucking plantations and given everyone 40 acres and a mule like we fucking promised.
and they're
But
like
no.
sharecropping, sharecropping.
Yeah,
You're working
but-
for the man. He's like, no, this is your land.
Well,
Yeah.
You know?
that what you said. 2/3 of people didn't own slaves. That's why they push the whole states' right things. Right? They always it's like states' rights. It's like I know this applies to what.
Well-
this may affect you too. Maybe not right now.
No, it was
will
an
affect you
economic
too.
decision.
Yeah.
Let me show you my background. Living in the South, Atlanta. We all know about Uncle Billy, and he burned down Atlanta and all that stuff, all the jokes that come my way. And I say, I get it. But just because I grew up in the South doesn't mean I agree with it. We were 70% white, 30% black in my high school, but I had a lot of black friends. I didn't care. I ran cross country. I ran track. Our track team went to state every year and we usually won it.
I wonder who got you there.
We had Mike Armour. He ran what they called the 400 meters. Today it was a 440 one time around the track.
440 yards. Yeah.
He ran that thing in, I think it was 48 or 49 seconds.
Smoking in high school.
He fell. He couldn't make the grade at Georgia Tech, but that guy was a horse.
Rough.
When I grew up,
If it was football, he would have.
you guys might have heard about this if you keep track of the Olympics. In '96, the Olympics were in Atlanta.
Yep.
There is a place outside, not very far from where I live, called Stone Mountain. When I was a kid, my dad would go out there, not to be part of the rally or anything. Not that I knew of anyway.
They had rallies.
Whose rally?
KKK rallies were out there.
Oh,
Now,
shit.
now, get this. Get this.
You got
This
mentioned
was
that, did you?
on.
What the?
This is a part that was supported by minorities tax-paying money too.
Yeah,
the
of course.
African Americans, the Hispanic community, they all paid into Stone Mountain Park because you had to pay your little ticket to get in or annual pass to get in. They didn't have any. They've got on. They were going to put a drape over the carving on the mountain doing the '96 Olympics. I didn't agree with that. The fact that they shouldn't have put it up there in the first place. It has Jefferson Davis, president of the Confederacy.
Jesus.
It has Robert E. Lee, and it's got Stonewall Jackson. Stonewall Jackson was a preacher. Believe it or not, he was shot by his own man.
Oh no, yeah.
And they're all riding like this. Now, Jacob,
Wait, how are they riding?
They're riding the horses. Look at them right now. They're right there.
Quick, fellas, there's a free black over there.
But you know what? This is in the 21st century. You still have that park open.
Jesus Christ.
I've actually
You go
been to
in
it.
there. Seriously,
You guys took me to it.
you go in there. And there's a replica of a plantation house. You go in there and
Remember the
I've been
good old
to-
days?
You know, the Georgia State flag used to have crossbars on it, and that happened in
of course,
1956 because they built it in the wintertime with session was being out, and they had all the people there that they knew was going to approve the way that flag
really?
was going to let. No, Georgia flag
That's
doesn't
why.
have the state crossbars on anymore.
A couple
Yeah.
years ago, they
I used to have the crossbars hanging on my garage on the Georgia State flag. And Morgan Freeman once said it this way, and he was I like any movie he's in, Morgan Freeman. And he says, to have a swastika, to have a Confederate flag being displayed in this country is like having a swastika flag flown in Germany to this day. And I said, you're right. his older brother worked at Locker House.
Foot Locker.
Foot Locker.
I knew you were going to get that wrong.
So his brother came over,
House.
and
He always does that.
he had a friend that came over, and his friend was black or African American. Came over, and for some reason, I felt a lot of shame. He came in. He was a very polite gentleman, and I talked to Derek after he left. I said, Derek, I'm going to take that flag and rip it up, throw it away. I said, I have my garage open a lot of times, and I have people I go to church with that would sit inside my garage, and they see that crossbar. And that's very unchristian. I said, it's kind of Martin Luther King. If you're going to forfeit making a good friend off of someone's color of their skin, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So one of the best things that kind of taught me, I don't know if you realize this or not, when I was in the South, people would be in church and they would use the N-word. Families would come in, and the church that I went to that were black, they sat in the back seat. No one said a word to them. Pastor Hughes that night, because Baptists, we sin so much, we have to go Wednesday night, Thursday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night. We do it all. We go to church a lot. The Lutherans don't go to church that much.
And you guys are hitting the N-word
But
every
that
time.
night,
That's a lot of N-words.
that night, Pastor Hughes chastised the congregation that night. He says, there is a family, black family, came by, and they sat down in the back seat, and I realized that no one said hi to them. I do not ever want to see that happen again in this congregation.
Amen.
That family didn't come back.
I probably wouldn't have either if that was
But
the case.
the thing of it is in the 21st century, that's Stone Mountain Park, Google it sometime, is still open.
Yeah.
And it's got the paddle boat, the old plantation paddle boat.
Oh,
You
Jesus.
can take the paddle boat ride. You can go through the house and see all the old Southern
You can
people.
take
I actually
It's
think
like-
like at this
but-
point they might as well just preserve it though, because like,
Well,
you know what I mean? Like it's like a historical.
This
like,
does hit
it
on
could be a
current,
didactic.
current hot button issue. How do you feel about them taking down like statues of people from the Confederacy and stuff?
If you want to pay to see that, put it inside a building. You go in there and
Put
pay
it in a museum.
There's people who are they used to work slaves so long in the day that if it was a full moon at night, they worked them 20 hours a day if they could, killing those people.
Yeah.
And do you expect them to go by a town center and see that and want to say, yeah, it's all right with me. Oh, by the way, my tax dollar pays the upkeep that statue. You think that's right?
It is crazy.
It's not hard to figure out. That's wrong.
Yeah.
If you want to put it inside of a building, and the Sisters of the Confederacy, there is an organization that is called the Sisters of the Confederacy down
Of course
south.
there is.
That's fine. Let them raise the money, build a building, put these stupid statues in there, and let them look at
Sisters
it.
of the
Yeah, that's
Confederacy.
true. That's a
very
very sensible take. on
Okay,
it.
but then how about people who take it even farther and go, well, George Washington owned slaves.
He sure did. So did Thomas Jefferson.
But they didn't
wrote the
betray their own
Declaration of
country,
Independence.
which I think is a
Yeah, they're not traitors.
differentiator.
I feel like the whole traitor
Yeah,
thing of the
yeah.
Confederacy is
Like, forget
you're
the fact that-
insurgent,
well,
bro.
yeah.
Screw
Do you know?
Exactly.
Do you know what
Get the fuck
country's
outta here.
the worst? If you can believe it,
Lost.
even worse than the United States about this.
Who?
Is England? How do you think the empire never settled on the empire? They made their fortune. The royal family that sits in that castle to this day.
Yeah.
They're all racist, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Rob,
Because
Oh,
they
yeah.
made their wealth off the backs of everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The
England-
Jamaican people are still have to fly a British flag on that island. That's, they thought that they were independent. No, they got a little bit of independence, but no, it needs to be total independence.
That's how it be.
England
Yeah.
It
sucks.
is.
Yeah.
know.
it does.
Yeah, and have you? Yeah, and I've yeah.
Don't
it
get me
sucks.
started. I get
Yeah.
rattled. I just
No,
you know,
we want to get
No,
you
we
started.
hate England too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
we-
Dan,
yeah,
how do you
fucking
feel about
Northern
Northern-
is
how do you-
fucking.
Yeah.
How do you
Fuck
feel
'em.
about
Fucking
the IRA,
American.
huh?
And they suck at track.
You know what I
too.
heard about George Washington's false teeth?
What?
He had the
Yep.
teeth of slaves in his dentures.
Yeah. God damn it.
Yeah.
What the heck? And the
No
guy
wonder he can
died
get
and
down
he
in
pulled him out. He
speeches.
was alive and he
Yeah.
pulled him
Spoken
out. I
word.
don't know. What the heck?
Yeah, apparently-
What's going on?
is coming.
Hey, you haven't even given me a spritzer yet. I haven't even got started. We're over here a long time tonight.
Let's go.
Yeah. No.
This is crazy. We haven't
On this
touched on
podcast, we hate England, we hate the Confederacy, and we hate Canada most of all.
Yeah, fuck Canada. Sorry, Jacob's mom.
Well, hey, Harriet Tubman is due in the year 2030. She's supposed to go on the $20 bill. From what I heard, they're taking Jackson off. Slave owner Jackson.
Yeah.
And what's the most popular bill you see to this day? Most of them are 20s.
It's 20s, yeah. 20s
Damn
the most.
inflation.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
My thing is like, I personally do not care who's on the dollar bill. I personally feel like that's like the $1 bill is pretty cool. I think that one looks nice.
Well, you know
but
why?
the other bills is just kind of like,
Yeah.
I'll put in a little 2 cents worth in. I want a dollar bill that has a female on it. You know why? Being a banker, I want the female in the mail to be in my wallet, and they may have children.
Oh,
It's compounded. I mean, look
we'll
at
get a
there.
Gerber
Maybe like
baby.
50. I
we'll
got
get a Gerber
150.
baby and put it on another bill.
Yeah.
And then we'll get a female. I thought you were going to say because they're like prettier to look at.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
that
want
would've
to see
been
a
nice.
powdered wig when I'm
Also,
paying
like,
money.
there's no-
when I'm at a
there's-
strip club, I don't think I want to see a powdered wig when I'm throwing money at this.
Well, I can't figure that out, man.
There's no.
We should put like models on the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, we should
Yeah,
put
it's
like
honestly
Playboy
very
models on it.
disrespectful. You think about it now. The fact that we put presidents on bills, knowing where most physical cash goes these days, and it's in a stripper's G-string.
George Washington's like, where am I?
Yeah, I've been there. And they can do some cool tricks with
Well,
those
and that's
dollars,
another
too. It's really
person. People always, he goes down in history as a great tactician.
Oh no, he sucked.
He sucked.
He was terrible. He was a bad general.
He
wasn't
had good organizational skills, but he wasn't
Yeah.
one you wanted to lead you in battle.
No, 100% no.
Like-
Washington won because he knew when to retreat.
Yeah.
he knew
Yeah,
when to like
right.
draw
Exactly.
back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then he just let it was essentially like there was a few good maneuvers like everyone always talks about the famous like crossing of the Delaware. That was a great
that was
move.
glorified.
But yeah, but most of them like he got his ass handed.
I feel like the
to him.
crossing of Delaware was a pivotal moment, though, right? In that, in that
it
war.
was.
So like,
but it's
a cool
difficult
painting,
to
that's for sure.
You
sometimes
really,
it's all it takes. It's like
yeah,
that one
you
good
really
play.
have to
all it
weave
takes.
in, you have to weave into the history because the history that we're taught is essentially statist propaganda.
It's
right?
written
Yeah,
by
look
white
at
men.
Eli
It's written by
Manning.
white men and it's written by
Exactly.
people who want you to believe in the United States. So you have
Yeah.
to really get into the histories to understand things. And then the worst thing about being into history is that you'll never truly understand it because we
Yeah.
can never really be in the hearts and
And
minds
you wish
of
you
the men.
could. I just
You
wish I
wish
could
you
see
fucking
it.
could.
I wish I
Yeah.
could see Stalingrad.
Oh, that'd be great.
Just, you know,
man.
just like
Yeah.
I want to. Maybe I don't actually.
You probably don't. The Eastern Front was pretty shitty.
Now,
I was gonna say I would be remiss if we didn't hit on World War II at some point because
That's a dad topic. Right
that's
there.
your like
there
number one
was-
topic.
But you
I mean,
know,
come on.
we to kind of take back on that. Yeah, our country has its problems. I wish we were further away from Martin Luther King's dream. Maybe 10 years after.
Yeah, I
he
wish you were
he had
further
a-
away.
Well,
Yeah.
you mean closer? His
to-
dream was like equality and stuff.
I'll tell you this. Jacob and I took a bus trip down to see Martin Luther King's house in Atlanta.
we sure
And
did.
we went down there. It was on a Sunday.
Yeah, we did.
It was a holiday. And it was when Georgia beat Ohio State by
State
2
in the
points.
Peach Bowl, baby.
It's a
we
great
went on to
day.
beat
It's
TCU.
a great-
65-7. Oh, yeah. Anyway,
TCU sucks.
We went
They had
down
no
there.
business
we went to
in
the
that
real
game.
championship game.
we went down there to see it. It's very impressive. Coletta is next. She passed away after, of course, him. And then he's next to her. And there's a nice fountain. If you ever get down to Atlanta, I recommend you going to see it. And you hear the voice, that speech he gave. It was just sends thrills down your nerves, you know. Well, I had to pee. So I was looking all over the place to go pee. And I couldn't find any place to go pee. So I went down to a convenience store. Remember this, Jacob? I went in there and bought a candy bar because if I go someplace to pee, I'm going to buy at least a candy bar. I'm not going to go in there and pee and leave. So I went
You're a
in
better
there.
man than me.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
pee
I
and
know
leave
you've
all the
been
time.
in stores like this before, but the bars, there was bars over the guy's window, and I had to put the money. I said, you know, that's not what Martin Luther King wanted. Not right down the street from when he grew up.
He wanted you to
didn't
bust
want that.
back.
You look at this, and it's not. It still isn't fair. It still isn't fair.
No.
Well, Dad, you know there's a joke that if you ever go to MLK Drive, like in a city, you need to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Martin
Well,
Luther King
they're
Jr.
always
Drive
bad there,
on
which
in
sucks.
Berkeley and Oakland is
The
terrible.
harsh reality is that race is just a very handy way to keep the working class divided and preoccupied with ridiculous nonsense while we continue to get fucked over by corporations and billionaires.
Yeah.
So-
You know what irritates me? In 1929, less than 1% of the people in the United States owned
Yeah.
95%, not more, of the wealth. What's happening right now?
Yeah.
It's the same damn thing that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when you read yeah, it's crazy. I was reading Grapes of Wrath recently where you see kind of the fallout of a lot of that.
Yeah.
And that book, I'm from Salinas and John Steinbeck's from Salinas as well. So I have that connection with him, I guess. But it's infuriating.
Oh yeah.
That book is infuriating to read as an adult. It's insane because it's just, they're going through the same shit basically. It's like a
Yeah.
lot of the same factors in play.
It's the same. You can draw parallels to like the migrant crisis that's happening in the southern border,
Right,
And what was
exactly.
going on with the Okies.
Exactly.
Well, what really infuriates you about Grapes of Wrath is one, the socioeconomic conditions that
Yeah.
push people away, the shitty bankers, the people who were loaning the money that were like
the
taking away the
shift in
property.
like the mindset of the American people in terms of what ownership means.
Yeah. Because
It's
now
like-
all of that land was getting what happens when all the Okies got pushed off that land? Who bought it? It was conglomerate.
And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
bank owns it. Well, who do I talk to?
Yeah.
I don't know. The
Yeah.
bank, I don't know the bank.
Yeah.
And one of the most
Yeah.
genius parts of that book, one of my favorite parts of that book, if you've never read Grapes of Wrath, please do it. It's great. But
Yeah, and like
it's
go to high school. I don't know.
you get people into those kind of situations and they start to take advantage of one another. One of my favorite parts of that book is when they go to buy the car.
Yeah.
And like he's selling them the shittiest car possible, like
Yeah.
stuck together with glue, like. And it's like it's not only are you getting like when times get bad, not only will you get fucked by the powers that be, but you will get tremendously fucked by your neighbor,
Yeah.
by the people next to you because they're in that state of desperation as well. And then they also get screwed over by the neighbors when they come into the camps within California.
And then the farms were pitting them against each other by basically saying who's willing to work for less.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
and that's
God.
how you're able to get by is like who's willing to be like demeaned more essentially.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
it's
it's
so
horrible.
frustrating.
Hey, sorry this is so abrupt. We weren't planning on it, but we went a bit long, so we're going to split this into two. So come back next week if you want more of Jacob's dad.